If I go exceed your expectations, please refer me 3 clients. I invest my marketing dollars into the relationship. You could do things together as you start building your team. They could come in with absolutely no money and come away with a home.
I did share with you how to go from salesperson to advisor. This is a great topic because I started feeling that I became a valuable resource to my clients and the community after a lot of good strategic marketing. Early on, I've been in the business for 2 decades, and they started coming to me for resources, and they still do. And that's the great thing. When people contact me, they contact me for attorney, contractors, plumbers. So it's very important for you to always, always, always have resources. And if you don't have resources, you could use me as a resource. I have resources across the globe. Okay, so that's everywhere in the United States, and I have some across other countries. And if I don't have it, I'll find it. So, anyways, we're gonna get into this right now. Just making sure that our technology is good. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. But before I do that, let me introduce myself. My name is Jeffrey DeJesus. I've been in the business for over 2 decades, been teaching and training for the last 15 years, helped hundreds of agents create millions of dollars. I built a large organization of hundreds of agents. And my current organization is doing over $500 million in sales every single year for the last 7 years. So I've got a lot of experience in real estate, and I love teaching. I love helping agents. So with that being said, let me go ahead and share my screen. Salesperson to trusted advisor. Become the expert clients follow. Build authority, provide value, earn the trust, and create loyalty. So the big shift here. So from transactions to relationships, I have a friend who has his business motto is real estate relationships. And it's so fitting because he really focuses on the relationship. That's his number one goal, and it's definitely paying off. So I want you to do the same. Focus on the relationship. So traditional salespeople, they always just focus on sales, and this is how it looks like. They focus on their transaction. They just talk about listings, chase leads, compete on availability, and ask for business. A trusted advisor usually understand their clients' goals. They explain the market, anticipate problems, provide strategic advice, become a resource, and earn referrals naturally because they are now becoming a trusted advisor. And so the goal is start being the person clients call when they need a house. Okay. It's not stop, it's start. The trusted advisor formula. Well, authority plus value plus consistency plus trust. So authority, well, people recognize you as knowledgeable, right? Value, you help people make better decisions. Consistency, you show up repeatedly. I think consistency is something that I do best. If you're consistent, you could build an amazing business. I mean, I know some amazing agents. They're just so consistent. They don't have a sales bone in their body, but they're so consistent, and that's why they're so successful. I'm pretty consistent at following up and doing my job as a real estate agent. Trust, people believe you have their best interests in mind. I mean, I've developed a lot of trust with my clients, so they call me, they take my advice, and it makes it a lot easier. When I'm writing the offer, I would write the offer, and then I say, "This is what I wrote," and then I'll go over the terms. And usually the client will tell me what to write on the offer. I usually tell them, and that's where you become a trusted advisor. So the results, you become an expert, advisor, trusted resource, and go-to agent. So pick your market, right? You cannot become an expert to everyone and everywhere. So choose a market you could own. Consider the area, the price range, property type, client type. I mean, if you like to stage homes, like moving condition. So here's an example. Instead of people, people saying, I help people buy and sell real estate in the Bay Area, you could become or say the real estate resources for move-up families in San Mateo and the peninsula. So you're basically telling them that you're the go-to person. The go-to advisor for the first-time buyers navigating the San Francisco market. Be specific. Like if you're going to work in the probate, then, probate specialist. If you like working with listings, a listing specialist. Just don't share data. Interpret it. Anyone could post mortgage rates are at 6.4%. The advisor says rates are around 6.4%. But this is what that means for buyers purchasing $1 million home. And here's what I would consider before deciding whether you buy or wait. So the data is very important when you're being the advisor, because they come to you seeking advice. The 5 questions every advisor should answer. When clients ask about the market, train yourself to answer what's happening. Give them the facts. Why is it happening? Explain the market, right? Can you explain the market today? What's going on? Like the rate, when it's expected to go down? And you could get this information from your lender, reading, knowing the stock market. I mean, you don't need to be an expert in them, but at least you could get the data. And with all the tools out there now, you should be able to easily explain to somebody what the market's doing in any city. Who does it affect? Buyers, sellers, investors. What could happen next? Discuss possible scenarios. What should you do? Give personalized strategy. When one of your customers has multiple homes, you should know what to do. And if an accountant needs to be, you need to seek some guidance from an accountant, because if they're gonna sell and buy, do a 1031, you're gonna need some other professionals helping you, and that's a given, because you got to be resourceful in this business. Become a teacher, not a pitchman. Every piece of content should do one of 3 things: educate, simplify, and guide. Okay? Instead of call me if you're buying or selling, try if you're considering selling in the next 6 to 12 months. Here are 3 things I'd look at before putting your home on the market. So, those are ways you could present yourself, right? Because sometimes you got a call when you're making your calls in the morning. This is how you want to present yourself. Okay. Your authority content strategy. Okay, so your content's very important. You want to stick with these 5 pillars: the market, money. What does this mean financially? Local, what's happening in the neighborhood, education, and experience. The trust framework. Well, T is for tell the truth. Always tell the truth in our business, because it'll bite you in the butt. Okay? No white lies. Always be straight up. Okay? Even when it costs you the transaction, always tell the truth. Trust. And then R is recommend. Don't pressure. Give clients the option. Okay? So when you recommend a plumber, always give them 2 or 3 options. Okay? If you have like a brother that's a plumber, just don't recommend the one. Always give them options. Okay? Use for understand the bigger picture. Know their financial and personal goals. S, simplify complexity. Make complicated decisions easy. Okay? And this is super important, because if you could keep it clear and simplified, like when they're buying, when they're selling, what's next, you're going to have a lot more success for sure. T is for think long term. Yep. This is always something super important. That's why I always go back. How's your CRM? That's the foundation of your business. That's your data. Those are your customers that are going to buy and sell through you in the future. So always think long term. Okay. When you're doing mailers, when you're farming, that's a long term thinking. You're sowing and reaping. You would send out mailers. So don't ever send out one mailer 1 month. You do it consistently over time, because you sow and then you'll reap another season. Okay. Super important, because I see people like they do door knocking, or they'll do a farm 1 month and that's it. You're usually, in 90% of cases, you're not going to get anything, because it's a consistency. When people pick up that mail every month, and they pick it up every month, and they see your name every month, then that's when the consistency starts happening. After a year, they're going to feel like they know you. I send out my mailers regularly. They either get a pamphlet from me like this. You see that? It's got my resume. It's got my photo. I even have a slogan in here that says, 35 years ago, I was your paper boy. Today, I want to be a realtor. So it's a fancy logo slogan that I created a while back, because I was a paper boy in a neighborhood, and that's the area I sell. Build your circle of expertise. This is what I talked about earlier. Make sure you get a good resource. And when I scrolling through Facebook, I'll start screenshotting and I'll start getting their phone numbers if I want to put them in my database. I'll reach out to them and I say, hey, my name is Jeffrey. I see you've been doing construction. How long you been doing it? What type of jobs do you do? How would I expect to get an estimate from you? How do you deal with my clients, et cetera, et cetera? So I just ask some questions. I just get the feel of this person, if they're a professional or not, because I definitely want to recommend professionals. And so I'll do some background check. And then when my clients ask, then I have an extra resource. I have my regulars, but then I always have to continue to look for resources, because my contractors, they get super busy. And then after a few years, they're just too busy. They can't get to clients on time. So I have to change that connection. Your database is your audience. Okay. Don't treat your database like a list of leads. Treat it like a community. So segment your database. I segment my database by SOIA, SOIB, SOIC. Keep it simplified, but this is a good way to do it. Past clients, sellers, renters, business owners, future clients, buyers, investors, homeowners, and referral partners. This is the category. So it's easy for you to send a message to any of them at any given time, right? If you have sellers and you're sending out a smart campaign, or you want to send a message, then you could easily find that category of sellers. So the Trust Advisor checklist: before you publish or meet with the client, ask yourself, am I providing value, right? Like if you're going to come over and you're going to give a value of the home, you ask yourself, am I giving them value, right? I mean, some of my agents, they have different strategies. I have one agent, when he goes to a listing presentation, he'll bring a stack of like information, literally 2 books high. And just to show that the client that he's been doing his homework. Visually, it's pretty impressive. I don't do that. I come in pen and paper. And then I have my laptop and my fancy presentation on my laptop. But I try not to pull out my laptop unless if I know that I gotta impress them with visuals. Okay, so I take a lot of notes. I ask a lot of questions. I'm like a doctor. I ask questions about the home. I do a walkthrough and ask and ask and ask, question after question. So you ask yourself, am I educating instead of selling? Am I giving an honest opinion? Am I using real estate data, real market data? Am I making the information easy to understand? That's a good one. Make sure it's easy to understand. When they say, what's the value of my home? I always say, let me get back to you. I just seen it and I'm just doing a walkthrough. I want to see the condition. There's, to compete in this neighborhood and the market, the finishes of the kitchen and bathroom. So I don't give them a value right then and there. I want to talk about everything else. Then I'll talk about the value of the home at another time. I want to get through and show them value, and I want to talk to them about the commission and how that works. Am I thinking about the client's long-term goals? Would I give the same advice to a family member? So if yes, you're operating as an advisor. Okay, so definitely you want to be that trusted advisor, not considered as a salesperson. Definitely not. The ultimate goal. You don't want people to say, I know a real estate agent. You want them to say, I know exactly who you should talk to, right? That difference is authority. And that's just about being consistent in what you're doing and doing your job every day and letting people know you have resources. That is probably one of the best ways to get the authority is when you have your friends and family call you for like an attorney, a plumber, a contractor, that's a good sign that you're going the right direction. I've been sending these out ever since I got into business. This is a bunch of phone numbers, and this is what I have. I have a few offices around California, and this one here is for my country office, and it has all the community phone numbers of the sheriff, fire department, ambulance, poison control. I know that we have Google now and ChatGPT, but this hangs on the refrigerator. And that is just a marketing piece. And those are some of the resources I have in my country office. But it just shows that I have the resources to help them. So final takeaway, you don't need to be the loudest agent, okay? You need to be the most useful agent, the most consistent agent, the most knowledgeable, the most trusted. Okay, and you do that with consistency. You do it by telling the audience that you have a lot of resources. You show them by action. When you consistently provide value, people start asking for your opinion. People do this all week. They call me, they text me every week for my opinion. When people ask for your opinion, you become an advisor. When you're the advisor, you become the agent they follow. Okay, so just want to say happy Monday. Thank you for taking the time to come, and let's chat again next week. Happy Monday.